Calling to order the Lake Mills City Council for August 15th, 2017. Would everyone rise for the pledge at this time? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Would you please call the roll? Ms. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Foster?
Here.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Here.
Mr. Fields?
Here.
Mr. Fritsch?
Here.
And Mr. Knippel informed me he would not be available this evening.
Okay, thank you. Corrections and or approval of the City Council minutes of August 1st, 2017. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, would you call the roll?
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Abstain.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay. Under public, or under correspondence, is there anyone on the council who would like to share correspondence that they've had? Yes, go ahead, Steve.
I received a couple of them. One was an inquiry about status of prairies in the city and how they were come about in ordinance. I talked to Steve and Rob at the parks, and we are allowed to have prairie designation or allow prairie in yards where they're allowed to grow natural and wild. So I got some clarification on that. There was a person inquiring about whether or not it was able to do that. The other one I had was on the fire siren going off. A person inquired about, is it necessary to have that go off for fire alarms when the fire is dispatched, that they thought it was somewhat of a nuisance if it was able to go to just pagers or cell phones. I did talk to the fire department and talk to several other people, and they definitely want to keep the fire alarm, the siren, in operation. I am responding on the phones is not a legitimate or legal way to be paged out, and the pagers are not consistent around town in metal buildings. If somebody's at the store, market, or sentry, that they tend not to go off. So the siren is a big plus. So I guess a common feeling myself would still support the sirens going off.
Okay. So do we have city prairie information in ordinances?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with that. Okay.
Yeah, we shouldn't say it's allowed to grow wild, but they have to meet certain prairie natural areas.
You know what part where they would look online to find that? Just generally speaking.
Yeah, I do
I
not.
think it's in Title 7.
Okay, Vicki would know better than I. She wrote
Yeah.
it.
It's either in 7 or 3. I don't remember for sure.
Okay, and you can look those up online. And if you have trouble finding it, call city and we'll help you find it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks for doing that. Anyone else have correspondence? I did have one correspondence item. It's some question about where on the agenda or plan is West Lake Street for work being done on it. The person was concerned about the condition of the road, especially for bike riding.
It's actually in 2020,
2020?
right? But, I mean, technically, based on the schedule that you look at and how you rate streets and Pacer, it's not that bad. I mean, it's down into the bottom half, but there are some streets where it's a lot worse.
Okay. I think the reason it was a concern is because it is a major thoroughfare in the city. Are the other streets that are that are worse also in that kind of place where a lot of people
Well,
live.
West Lake Street, when you get out into that area, is not a major thoroughfare. So I would, it's as busy as some of the other streets that are out there. Woodland Beach Road would probably hit a higher requirement.
Okay, all right. 2020 is the plan at this time.
Right, and Prospect from Birch Street east,
Well, there was work done on that, and it's a lot better than it was.
not east.
Not east?
No,
Oh,
you're
okay.
thinking west.
Yes, I am. Okay. Well, I'll have to go drive down east. Okay, thank you for answering that question. Any other correspondence questions? Okay, seeing none. The public is encouraged to address the council at this time regarding items on the agenda. And we don't have a public hearing, so we don't have to do that part. Public comment may also be made at this time on items that are not on the agenda if you have registered with the city clerk before the meeting has been called to order. The state's open meeting laws discourage action by the council on items not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments limited to 3 minutes and state your name and address when starting your comments and fill out the sign-in sheet provided on the podium. We have our press here. Thank you for coming. And we don't have anybody else here. So I guess that takes care of public comment. I can close that. Okay. City manager's report. Steve, I'll turn to you.
I provided you the general fund budget and the capital budgets through July, and they're all consistent with what the requirements would be for that time period. I provided the July general fund check register, and then that email from Club 55 about where their status is at, the letter from Sandy Beach Trailer Park Homeowners Association, and then the tip proposal from WEDC. And I don't know, did any of you read that?
I was waiting for you to talk about it because I looked at it. Didn't know if we had, do we need to put that on an agenda?
I don't think we do yet, but I found it extremely interesting. It goes through some survey data that was provided to us by MadRep at the request of JCEDC. And they're provided a lot of data about, what the difference between the average hourly wages in the two areas were, or in multiple areas in our region. Talked about the difficult positions to fill. Did you look at those?
Yes.
And then some of the quotes from HR people about it's tough to fill any 12-hour shift position. It's tough to fill any second or third shift position. It's hard to find candidates with basic and advanced mechanical aptitude, which doesn't mean training. It just means that they have some idea of what mechanical systems are. Hard to find candidates with good technical and communication skills who are capable of training others. Hard to find candidates with troubleshooting skills. Difficult to find candidates who can get past background checks. And employees are have an unwillingness, or the unwillingness of lower skilled workers to be trained upskilled, which I found very interesting.
Yeah.
And resistance to accept greater responsibility. And this goes along with what labor shed study that we're doing. And we had discussed significantly that it's difficult for Jefferson and Dodge County manufacturers to get to maximum employment. Some of them are leaving $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 worth of work a year on the table, and they've become very selective in who they work for because they just can't take everybody anymore. So the labor market is controlling who gets work and why. So it goes to your question, Doug, last week.
Well, the aptitude is something people are born with. So, I mean, there's only a certain percentage of the population that have mechanical aptitude. By-
Generally, what happens, though, is if you grow up, I know if you grew up on a farm, you tend to have a lot more mechanical aptitude, even if it wasn't
By
a natural
exposure.
trait. And, you know, if you grew up working in a shop or those types of things as a younger person, nowadays, most people are working on their computers or playing on their computers. They're not out working in the tractors and those types of things. So it's changed the way that people develop their aptitudes.
Yes.
I got a question. Have you heard of any of the employers who are trying to do some original or imaginative work schedules and so on? If, for example, they can't get 12 people who are willing to work 12 hours to change and to try and work it out so that people have, you know, a little bit more flexibility?
I'll say this, yes. You'd be surprised, some really big manufacturers in the areas are accommodating that.
So I see all these different goals, the project purpose, the goals, short-term goals, long-term goals. How do they aim to reach those goals out of this study?
The study is basically just to look at the market and see what's there. Then the goals come out of it on how the public sector can work with the manufacturing sector to be able to drive, you know, there's a certain set portion of the market that's probably underemployed. They're employed, but they're probably underemployed. They could take better employment if they had the skills, but they don't know how to develop them. And if there's more money in job training than any other area in the budget in most states. It's just that people don't know how to access that. And so that's kind of the combination that we're putting together so that you provide more employees who are capable of filling these jobs to go along with developing more jobs. So there's a whole broad spectrum of how you accomplish each goal. Sometimes it's just communication, sometimes it's making sure that you have the right processes in place to accomplish that, or the right facilities to meet the needs.
I'm just worried that they may get the wrong answer out of the study. And then the businesses will use it as a reason why they need to move out of the area because there isn't the workforce for them. That's the only reason I'm bringing this up. Because it could be a double-edged sword where it might give them some information, but what do they do with that information? Do they really take it and develop?
I don't think it's a
training programs?
I don't think it's a double-edged sword, because anybody who's coming in to do a business here is going to contact some other businesses in the area, and they're going to tell them flat out, it's hard to get employees.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying new businesses coming in. I'm saying some of these old businesses that are here, that are established, that are struggling and can't grow. They're just keeping a status quo. They can't take on more business. They may take this data and say, you know what, maybe this isn't the place I want to be, and then they'll slowly transition to a new location.
Generally, they're more willing to work with us to develop the workforce that's available. That's their first choice.
Well, we certainly hope that would be their first choice, and hope that we can help them, if, you know. We do have some tools in the area through Jefferson county that we might be able to do more with to make it more accessible to people, but we'll talk about that at another time.
Yes, please.
I do want to mention for the people at home listening to the program that if you go to the website and you go to our agenda under City Manager's Report, they can access this letter, correct?
That's
Okay.
correct.
So if you go to number 6, City Manager's Report, click on tip proposal to WEDC, you can see the letter that we've been talking about, and you can read the specifics of it. And if you have a problem with that, tomorrow, give City Hall a call, and they'll help you find that. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Anything else with the City Manager's Report?
No, but do you have any questions? I do have we did have meetings with the general contractor and the subcontractor for East Lake Park Place. Thought it went pretty well. And we have the market study for the Sandy Beach area done and in our hands.
Oh, that's finished, so will that be?
Well, I shouldn't say it's finished. It's in a draft. We're supposed to read it and comment back.
And when will the council see it?
Probably with the budget packet.
Oh,
And I have to warn you that the budget packet this year is going to be huge.
okay, so we're looking at least 2 meetings outside of the regular meetings?
Right now, we don't have anything for September, the first meeting in September.
Also, we might be able to do it in
So,
Zoom.
and that's the meeting I usually deliver the budget. So that may be where we sit down and go over some of the key issues in the budget.
Would that be in a work session?
Yeah.
Okay, so we would have a short meeting and then go into a work session? Or the other way around?
I don't know. Let's
You'll
wait and
think
see.
about it. Okay,
I have it prepared in a PowerPoint form so that it may be good to leave it on and run it, at least the initial presentation, as a meeting. Obviously, we'll want to have some work sessions after that, maybe even after the initial presentation. I'll pique your interest a little bit. The city manager's budget address should be highly entertaining. You'll want to read it, but you won't get it until that first meeting. So,
Oh. so we won't get it till the night of the meeting?
right.
The suspense is,
I shouldn't say that. It will be in the, it will be in the packet, won't it? Okay. A lot of maps, a lot of numbers, a lot of data, and several additional studies. So,
but you'll walk us through it as well
yes.
as us looking at it. That's very good because sometimes they're hard to understand. So,
I have a good cartoon at the front that says you can take some time to digest this now.
okay. We will take a look at that when we get it, which isn't far off, like our next meeting, right?
Yes,
Okay,
it'll be your next meeting, 3 weeks.
okay. Is there anything else for Steve? Seeing none, we'll move to item 7, acceptance of minutes of Public Works Board, June 13th, 2017. Public Works Board, July 11th, 2017. Housing Authority, May 23rd, 2017. And Housing Authority, June 27th, 2017. We'll place those on file. Okay. And number 8, council business. A, miscellaneous licenses. Would you read the title of, or the names of the people? And these are renewals?
Yep, all of them are renewal tavern operators license applications. We have Audrey Herring, Damon Meisegeyer, Lori Whitey, and Rebecca Martin.
Okay. Does anyone have a motion to approve the tavern operators licenses as listed.
So move.
Okay, second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, would you call the roll?
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay, thank you. B, discussion decision on the memorandum of understanding for Jefferson County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Okay, Steve, or who handles this one?
Would you want to read the motion, or at least the title first?
Okay, well, hang on, got to get to it first here. Just a minute. Okay. Motion 17821. Would you read the title?
Just the title?
Yeah.
Motion 17821, Memorandum of Understanding, Jefferson County Hazards Mitigation Plan 5-year update.
Okay, so this is housekeeping?
Yes, Jefferson County was required to do a hazardous mitigation plan for weather that they did 5 years ago. And they are now going to review it and update it. And so they have to form the committee again, go through and do all that work. And we're part of that group. We're part of the original MOU. Todd Yandre was the original member who's agreed to do it again. So this MOU agrees to participate and allows us to appoint Todd.
Okay, so if this motion passes, Andre will be the person we will propose to put on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a copy of that
Oh.
on our website?
No, we do not.
Okay.
So this is just for
Sorry.
No, that's okay. We need a
weather-related
motion.
problems
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff
you're
like
right.
that?
Sorry.
Yes.
I need to interrupt. We need a motion and a second before we can discuss it.
Yeah.
Is there someone that would like to make a
So
motion?
moved.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm sorry, Doug, you can take it back now for a discussion. What was your question? I didn't hear it.
So this is all weather-related,
Yes.
or earthquakes, or other natural disasters?
It goes through all of them. I think the ones that they said, thunderstorms, floods are the two main ones for Jefferson County, but they go through all of them.
Tornadoes?
Tornadoes, yep.
I would imagine hazmat type situations of things rolling over on the interstate would be included too.
You know, I think that comes under a separate area and wasn't necessarily under the hazardous mitigation plan for this process. But I won't guarantee it because I can't remember reading it. But I remember the first time, it's an awful long document for not having a lot of the weather items affect us.
Yeah.
Does it go so far as to spell out what each community has to provide, what the police force, fire department, what they have to provide during certain instances?
It refers to each one of the locals' plans. And yes, it goes through what they would expect us to be able to provide during that process. Generally, what we do is each community provides a certain amount of people to the Jefferson County Emergency Management Office. So Todd's been down there a couple times, Mark, Rick. They work, and they've done a lot of flood work down in Fort and Jefferson.
Yeah,
We've never actually had to mobilize one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if you had mobilized, do they have training events based upon the requirements? Do we do stuff like that? Should we be doing stuff like that?
The fire department does, and the police department kind of works with them on that. We've done tabletops and that type of stuff. EMS has been involved on a couple of occasions.
And a lot of people have received FEMA training too, right?
Right. We all are required to take the incident command and the emergency response. training. So it's,
When you say we all, who does that encompass?
everybody that's a staff member of the city, including me.
Okay.
Dan hasn't yet,
I have not yet.
but Vicky took the preliminary ones, and she was the PIO. And
What's
I-
a,
What's
a
an EIO?
PIO?
Public Information Officer. And I've taken all of them up to the, I think, 900 level. As have, I think, the chief, both chiefs, and Todd, definitely. So we've got quite a bit of background. Paul has taken most of them. We do have a plan that lays out, who we contact, who's the first responders. And in fact, we have very similar plans used for water emergencies, the dam, the flood hazard dam management process. It goes down through most of the same processes that we do for all of those.
Now, does Jefferson County put this on their website for people to see the plan, like the old plan or something? Is this something people can look at, but not on our site?
I don't even know if Jefferson County has it. I never looked. I got the hard copy. And
Well, if somebody is interested in it, they could call Jefferson County.
they could come up here and read it.
Well, yeah, they could. What if they don't want to, they want to look online? But then they would have to go to Jefferson County and find out whether
Yeah,
they've done.
I would go there and try and find out, because
Yeah.
it's quite an extensive document. It takes a lot of room, and I don't know how much web space they have in comparison to us, but
But they could call the county and ask, and then if the only way to see it is to see your copy, they're welcome to come and look at your copy in office.
right,
Okay,
they can sit in the library and read it all they want.
There is information on Jefferson County's website, jeffersoncountywi.gov. I'm looking it up right now.
and just look for the county hazards mitigation plan.
Yeah, I just Googled the Jefferson
good,
County,
thanks.
Wisconsin Hazard Mitigation Plan, and it's the first entry.
Well, wonderful, Dan, thank you for getting that information for us.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, some of you I know are out there are interested in that kind of thing, and we want you to be able to look at it. Okay. By the way, when you said EIO, I couldn't help but think of the farmer in the Dell, EIO.
Yeah, it's PIO.
PI.
Oh, PIO.
I don't know that
EIO.
I'm that anymore, though.
No,
I'd be glad to hand it back to Dan.
yeah, he's gonna have to go to the
I'll
training.
take the training. I'd be
Okay.
happy to take that role.
Okay, very good. Any other comments on this item? Otherwise, we'll call the roll. All right, call the roll, please.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay, that takes us to item C. Resolution 1734, acceptance of the sanitary sewer improvements of Shorewood Hills Northwest. And this is a resolution, let's see once, hold on, I gotta get to that one again. There we are. Okay. Now, I'm trying to debate whether we want to, do we want that read? No, we don't need
I
it
don't
read.
think so.
Read the title, please.
Resolution 1734, acceptance of public improvements, Sherwood Hills Northwest subdivision.
Thank you. Okay, I need a motion and a second so we can discuss it.
I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 17-34.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, Doug has seconded it. Okay, so we now have Resolution 1734 in front of us. This was a motion that the Public Works Board has approved.
Yes.
So we're just following suit here. Steve, you want to say anything? Steve Wilkie, would you want to say anything about it?
Sherwood Hills Northwest is the third phase of the original Sherwood Hills North, which was originally started by Gray Horse Development back in 2001. They constructed phases 1 and 2, but then stopped on phase 3. It was purchased last year by Casson LLC, which one of the main parts of that is Jason Forrest. They received approval from the city to, and by that I mean the Public Works Board and the City Council, to do the public improvements the same way as that it had originally been designed. They did get all the additional approvals that they needed from the county and the town of Lake Mills last year. And I think town of Lake Mills might have ran into the beginning of this year. But they have constructed the sanitary sewer improvements as required by the city, and our engineer was on site to do the inspections and has provided our letter of recommendation stating that it was constructed in conformance with the city codes, and all the paperwork has been provided. And I know I got caught on this one at the Public Works Board. Here are all the documents that go with it that have to be submitted in accordance. And then there are other things like you have to provide a video of the sanitary sewer if you're ever interested in watching sanitary sewer movies.
On Tuesday nights, because they're cheaper.
Yeah. Based on all that documentation and the information provided, the Public Works Board recommended approval, and staff recommends that the council approve.
Will the council be taking separate action to reduce the financial guarantee?
Yes, we will, but we needed to find out what that was, and we haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
So that'll come back to the council at a later time?
Yep.
Okay.
So I was reading a little bit in there, and there was a few comments made about the different, or the amount of wells that are going to be put in out there. Do you see any concerns that weren't listed?
The city has a code that doesn't allow wells in the city,
Yeah.
specifically for that reason. In fact, we were just reading Shawano's municipal wells were contaminated here, at least one of them, I shouldn't say all of them. They don't know why, but it becomes an issue as more and more wells are punched into the aquifer. So, am I crazy about the idea of adding wells to the aquifer? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't run the state of Wisconsin, and so I just do what I'm told.
How do they do that out there in that area as far as the different wells? Do they have specific places where they're punched, or does every home have their own well out in those areas? Because it sounds like there's can be like 30 more punched in out there.
They generally split a well. 'Cause
Between two houses?
Right. But I won't guarantee that all the time. But historically, in phases 2 and 3, most of the homes two homes share one well. So I won't guarantee that I know where it's at here, but based on what I know about development, if they can get away with drilling one well and selling 2 lots, that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
Are we going to get, though, ultimately, 20, 30 years down the road where we get these cones of drainage? I forget what they call them.
Cones of depression.
And
Cones of
start
depression
interfering.
occur around wells, and the more the draw, the more the cone of depression. But what we really need to worry about is the water table. As all those wells are working, they draw the water table down, and so, the older wells are, 60 to 100 feet deep, and the newer wells are 150 to 200 feet deep. So as those wells start drawing and the table, you continually have to drill deeper and deeper and deeper to get your water, and that's the issue.
Well, then I'm concerned like what happens in Waukesha County, where they get the radon contamination and so on.
Yeah, radon contamination is based out of the fact that they have certain sorts of ground formations that the water has to move through. We don't have a lot of those. We do have some. But we haven't, well number 6 would be the one most likely to have that, and we don't have any. So
Which one is that?
it's the one over by the industrial park.
Okay, any other questions for Steve or comments about the resolution? Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay. And thank you to the Public Works Board for their work before we got it. So, all right. Item D, Ordinance 1179. Zoning amendment request from Robert Mangan for the purpose of changing the zoning from two-family residential R2-8 and single-family residential R1-4 to multiple-family residential R3-12 with Planned Development District PDD on Brewster Drive at parcels number 246-0714-0732-000 and 246-0714-0731-000. This is the third reading. I sort of just read the title, didn't I? Or do we read the title again then for us?
Ordinance 1179, amending Section 1032 in the official City of Lake Mills zoning map, City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion at this time to approve the ordinance?
I move we adopt ordinance 1179.
And is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay, is there any discussion at this time? We've had 3 readings, and so I guess we'll call the roll.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay, so that is taken care of. All right, recommendations for future agendas. We already talked about possibility of having some budget material at our next meeting in one shape or form. That by itself will keep us really busy. Do we have anything else that we need to have on that agenda?
Just whenever we get the stuff for the goals.
Yeah, okay. And Steve will take care of that when he gets it. Okay, good. All right. So, otherwise, meeting is adjourned.